Today, we are going to discuss Creative Commons, the last module in the series of intellectual property rights. Possibly, you have seen we have talked about this patent, copyright, and other aspects of the intellectual property rights. And today, we'll be discussing Creative Commons. Let us try to find out why this Creative Commons can be helpful to share quality content in our society. How copyright is actually impeding our development, especially in the developing nation. Suppose you are writing a paper or an article, or you are trying to access quality content, quality research paper, quality books, or any research content. Most of the cases you will find that access is denied. Most of the cases you will find it. What are the reasons behind it? Primary reasons are there: copyright. Because if you do not pay for the copyright, access is denied. If you are not paying for the copyright, you are not entitled to access all those copyrighted content. So, especially it is true for us because developing nations need a quality content for the development of science, technology, creativity, and innovations. If we are not in positions to access the quality content, our scientific discovery, innovations, and inventions is not possible. So, what is the solutions? Solutions is if we can share our quality content to the society to develop and benefit the humanity and the society as well. So, let us think copyright means what? Copyright means all rights reserved. But our society, our society is a very paradoxical society. In one hand, we are looking for a quality content. Quality content in the most of the cases lies behind the paywall. That means is already protected through some different IP tools, patent, design, trademark, copyright. On the other side, we want a free material, free content so that we can develop, especially the developing nations. So, in one hand, we are looking for a quality content which is already protected through some IP forms, especially copyright, patent. In other hand, we are looking for the same quality content which should be open and the free. So, this is very difficult. Our knowledge is caged through some IP forms in the patent and the copyright and knowledge. Now, our challenge is before us, that is, knowledge needs to be encased, knowledge needs to be free. So, what are the options before us? There are three philosophical options before us as a creator. Suppose you are a creator, you have written some article, research article, or any book. We already discussed in the copyright class that copyright is a spontaneous right. Whatever you share, which is recorded, maybe in an analog form, maybe in a digital form, it is primarily copyrighted, and you need not to apply any copyright office. Yes, copyright restrictions is possible if you feel and if you apprehend that in someday your paper or your article might be stolen, might be misused. In that case, you can go for a restrictions, copyright registration. Otherwise, copyright registration is not necessary, is not mandatory. Copyright is a spontaneous and automatic right for it, for anyone, for any creators. So, copyright, all rights reserved philosophy. But what is the problem for us, for our developing nations? Creative Commons is a kind of options. I will be discussing its history and the values and the missions and everything. But before that, let us try to understand what is the philosophy behind it. When you are the creator of a particular content, obviously you are having the exclusive right over your contents. Now your choice is one choice I have already discussed, that's all rights reserved. That is a copyright. Other options could be there. You can keep some rights with you and you can share some rights with the society. Because whatever we do and whatever we create, and it is actually for the society and for the benefit of the society and the benefit of the human. The next other options is a public domain when you are not claiming your any copyright. So another that's absolutely philanthropic option. So in for any creators, There are three options are available. Choice is yours because you are the creator of the content. So you can go for a copyright, you can go for a Creative Commons, CC licensing, or public domain materials. Let us zeroing in on the Creative Commons today. So let us talk about this Creative Commons. It's a revolutionary development in the field of intellectual property and the copyright. Three great persons, all are Americans. The first one is a Lawrence Lessig, second one is a Hal Abelson, and the third one is a Eric Eldredge. They have developed a revolutionary licensing. It's not an alternative copyright. It is actually goes side by side with a copyright mechanism. It's a free, easy to use copyright licenses. Provide a simple, standardized way to give the public permission to share and use your creative work on conditions of your choice. CC licenses let one the copyright terms derives from and converts it from all rights reserved to the some rights reserves. Let us try to delve a little bit more on this Creative Commons. Creative Commons is a non-profit organization that enables the sharing and use of creative contents and knowledge through free legal tools. It is located in California, Mountain View, established in 2001. Creative Commons licenses are not an alternative, as I told you earlier. They work alongside copyright and enable one to modify copyright terms to best suit your needs, your preference. The result is an agile, low overhead, low cost copyright management regime, profiting both copyright owners and licensors. Possibly, we all are familiar with the Wikipedia. Wikipedia uses one of these licenses. See, Wikipedia is having more than 55 million articles actually covered under this license CC license, where some rights is up and some rights you can share with the society. 4,92,000 images already shared in the internet via the Met is covered under this Creative Commons licensing. And this Creative Commons licensing is actually CC0. We'll be discussing later half of this my lecture. Khan Academy, they have also shared under the licensing of CC BY NCSA. We'll be discussing how does exactly mean by that. 1 lakh lessons for the humanity. It is shared. So, what is the vision and mission of the CC? Primary vision of this Creative Commons are a world where education, culture, and science are equitable, shared as a means to benefit humanity. Mission: CC empowers individuals and communities around the world through technical, legal, and policy solutions that enable the sharing of education, culture, and science in the public interest. What are the guiding principles of the Creative Commons? When these Creative Commons were developed by the three great scientists in their field, they had some principles, they had some philosophical, rational background for that. And what are those? Open sharing advances universal access to knowledge and culture in furtherance of fundamental human rights. Number two, open sharing fosters creativity, innovations, and collaborations, enabling progress by addressing global challenges. Open sharing inherently an act of social solidarity, reflecting a belief that we all have a stake in collective body of creative and intellectual growth. So these are the principles by which Creative Commons were made. So Creative Commons had earlier strategy up to 25. Now they have changed their with the inceptions. Gradually, you'll come to know that because of these inceptions of artificial intelligence, especially generative AI, these Creative Commons organizations they have changed their strategy from 2025 to 2028. What are the goals right now? They have actually recalibrated their goals. Goal one: strengthen the open infrastructure of sharing. They want to develop open infrastructure so that it actually works as a platform, a facilitator, so that our sharing becomes much more easier than earlier. So, a strong and resilient open infrastructures empower sharing and access in the public interest. Goal two: defend advocacy. Defend and advocate for a thriving Creative Commons. Thriving Creative Commons exists to solve the world's toughest challenges. Goal 3, center community. We can develop community center. Communities leverage CC's open infrastructure to share knowledge in the public interest. Sometimes we believe that Creative Commons is simple a permission, simple a licensing, simple sub mechanism. But if you try to understand from the deepest core of our own understanding, you will find that CC is primarily a freedom. It empowers you through some freedom. CC was not just about licensing that addressed the limitations of copyright in a digital world. It was a symbol of sharing and freedom that resisted against a restrictive environment and brought people together. There are many open licenses available, and out of that, Creative Commons is the most important and the most popular one. Creative Commons licenses is normally applicable for the written works, music, visual, and other artistic expressions. Let us try to discuss what are the licenses that you can go for. Obviously, as per your choice and preference. By attribution, CC is actually it's a short form of Creative Commons. By attribution, CC BY. Copy, it is the most open type of licenses you can go for. Copy, distribute, display, perform, and derivative works, commercial and non-commercial. All almost all activities you can perform if you are embracing this license. Next one is a non-commercial CC BY NC. Try to notice that their basic attribution CC BY is common for all licenses, including this one, what I am going to discuss. CC BY NC. I have simply added NC at the end of this attributions. NC means non-commercial. It will have the same term, but only non-commercial purpose. You cannot use this kind of licensed content, copyrighted content, Creative Commons license content for commercial purpose. If you go for that, there might have some appropriate actions can be taken for that. No derivative works, CC BY ND. This is a stricter type licensing. Only verbatim, no derivative works is allowed. Share alike, CC BY SA. Any derivative works share with similar terms but share alike. Suppose I'm giving a practical example. Suppose you are used for writing, for preparing your content or any assignment or a thesis, whatever creative content you are developing. If you have used any share alike content that is covered by CC BY SA, you cannot go for a commercial licensing. You must share alike with the same term. Next one is a CC BY NC SA. That means non-commercial and share alike. Any derivative works must share with a similar terms for non-commercial only. Next one, non-commercial, no derivative is the most difficult and the most stricter type of licensing out of the CC licensing. No commercial or no derivative works are allowed. So there are 6 types of licenses under the CC licenses. You can opt as per your choice and the preference. This is not another types of permission. This is altogether a different philosophy. As we started our discussing with the 3 philosophies, this is the last philosophy. That's a no rights reserves. It's absolutely a public domain material. And that is written as a CC0. Once you write CC0, the people who are trying to accessing it is actually they will understand it covers under public domain. It is a written and a clear statement that understands by almost everyone in the field of academia. CC0 enables scientists, educators, artists, and other creators and owners of copyright or database protected content to waive those interests in their works and thereby place completely as possible in the public domain so that others may feel built upon and reuse the works for any purposes without restrictions under any copyright or any similar law by that which restricts their works. In contrast to CC's licenses that allow copyright holders to choose from a range of permissions while retaining their copyright. CC0 empowers you yet another choice altogether. The choice to opt out of copyright and database protections and the exclusive rights automatically granted to creators. So there will be no rights reserved. We started our discussion all rights reserves under copyright, under CC, some rights reserved, and here we are discussing the lust philosophy, no rights reserved. I am the exclusive owner of my copyrighted content, but I am completely disowning my rights and I'm sharing all of my rights to the society for the betterment of the society, for the benefit of the humanity. And this is alternative to all licenses. But why do we need Creative Commons license? What if Creative Commons licenses encourage sharing? They ensure that content is freely available for the fibers that needed for open education. Revise, reuse, remix, redistribute, and retain. These permissions allow you to download material, tailor it to customizes as per your needs, save a copy, share it while still protecting the original author's rights. Reuse means use the content in its unaltered form, revise, adapt, adjust, modify, improve, or alter the content. Remix, combine the original or revised content with other open educational resources to create something new. Redistribute, share copies of the original content, revisions or remixes with others. Return, keep access to the material after the learning event. So these are the 5 R's. See, I have juxtaposed all those licenses together so that you can understand it. It's openness and closeness. You can see in the left hand side the greener aspects. The greener field is actually the most open field. The attribution, the first type of license, CCBY, attribution share alike, attribution non-commercial, and attribution non-commercial share alike. The list open is a red and most red one was the most difficult types of Creative Commons licenses. So if we are thinking about the licenses when we use some licenses for developing our open educational resources, what kind of licenses we should opt for, we should go for? The under green category of brackets, I have categorized 4 category of licenses. First one is attribution share alike, attribution non-commercial, attributions non-commercial share alike. All these 4 category of licenses can be used for OER purpose, open educational resources development purpose, but two others, that is, as I already discussed, is the difficult one, the stricter licenses in terms of this openness. There's attribution no derivatives, attribution non-commercial no derivatives. It cannot be used and it should not be used for the open educational resources development purpose. Creative Commons licenses, whatever the licenses you choose for or set for, there are two aspects, two perspectives. One is a legal perspective, another one is a social perspective. Legal perspective is like that. We understand it, the kind of licenses and the kind of rights and the kind of permission is available under a particular license. We understand it. But equally, there is a social side, which is communicated when someone applies the CC icons. Icon acts as an identification, a badge, a symbol. When it's marked with a CC license, it's also accompanied by a social agreement, which is anchored in reciprocity, and that is for all of us. So, with the inceptions of artificial intelligence, especially the form of generative AI, this social agreement, the social perspective is somehow lost and broken. With the mainstream emergence of generative AI, the social agreement has come into questions, come under threat with the knock-on consequences for the greater commons. Current approaches to building commercial foundation models lack reciprocity. No one of us shares photos, audio, video to get rich. No one contributes articles for seeking fame. It is all about sharing knowledge, with the benefit of the humanity. But when that shared knowledge is opaquely ingested, credit is not given, and the crawlers ramp up server activity and fees to the degrees where the human experience is degraded, folks are demotivated to continue contributing. So let me give you a practical example, a real example on how this artificial intelligence and Creative Commons are in conflict or are in contrast rather. I have already given a prompt, a text prompt to a Dell E3 AI platform, and right now ChatGPT is also giving image. with the latest versions. And before that, Dell E3, Sora, they used to give you this kind of text to image conversions via generative AI by using the artificial intelligence and machine learning techniques. So when I asked, when I prompted to a generative AI to design or create an image for a bicycle, what it actually did. Many training data set where there are images for bicycle are there. They have accessed. I'm not explaining, I'm not discussing how did they access it and whether they have taken any copyright permissions or not. Let us focus on this, how it was produced. Based on the training data set they are producing the image of the bicycle, right? Now, try to analyze the situation. This simple example begins to illustrate how generative AI can blur the line between what is the work of a human artist and what is the work of a machine, and what it involves both. It reveals the difficulty with applying classic copyright laws to AI generated content. Creative Commons has argued for several years that absence of significant and direct human creative input, AI output should not qualify for copyright protections. In part, this is because we believe that copyright's law fundamental purpose is to foster human creativity. Where human creativity is not involved, the default should not be copyright protections. Freedom from copyright protection offers important because it benefits mostly and largely. It enables downstream users to build on, share, and create new works without worrying about infringing on anyone's rights. Simply stated, autonomously created content produced by artificial intelligence does not involve human creative expressions and simply is not within the subject of the matter of the copyright. It should be free for all use. So let us try to analyze the whole situations. How this copyright, Creative Commons, and the public domain materials will be able to shape our future world where there is a generative AI is also in these positions to shape this world. It actually is a parallel movement. One side, society is demanding the development of the generative AI, and we cannot defy all those demands. Society will be evolving out of this generative AI, but we must know what exactly fosters our human creativity. Every creativity has its two aspects. One is a internal, what we call is a subjective motivations. Another one is a objective motivation, which is external. In case of a subjective motivation, it comes from within. Creators' internal motivation comes from within, and that is actually the basic creativity or a fundamental creativity. The creative motivations, when it comes from external sides, that is actually objective motivation. Primarily, it is commercial motivations. So we need to decide the health of our society. What kind of health we are looking for? That means, are we looking for a societal health which can be degraded in few years to come? Because there are many loopholes, many loose knots would be there if we do not accept, we do not encourage the creativity and sharing our creative content in the society. It is not the developed nations. Almost all developing nations, low and middle income countries, the highly suffered from the creative content because the development of any nation primarily depends on the science, technology, creativity, and innovations. For the development of quality content, creative and innovation, we need creative content. And if our whole society is actually covered and embracing this, only this copyright, certainly it will be stake. In other side, if we embrace artificial intelligence when human creativity is at stake, so danger is lurking on our head. If we do not accept the human creativity is the ultimate, even the generative AI, who has created generative AI? Human has created generative AI. And if it is actually trying to challenge human creativity, that is also for us because our inner motivation actually thought artificial intelligence to mimic us, replicates us, and replicate our reasoning ability. And let us challenge human to artificial intelligence and artificial intelligence to human. So, this is a kind of war. This is a kind of war, man and machine war that actually started with the Alan Turing in 1950s. So, after summing up all those issues, let us try to understand how this creative commons, this movement when we encourage and share creative contents among the community members to benefit the society, has always fought for shared knowledge to be accessible for everyone and anyone to use to learn from. CC expedites, as I told you, scientific discovery. If we can more rapidly learn, discover, and innovate with the use of the new technologies, that is really, really wonderful. What we ultimately want, what we believe we need, is a commons that is strong, resilient, growing, useful to machines and to humans also, and also the good things, absolutely good for all of us. But often infrastructures, when we are developing something, this is for all us. That means is the creative commons. That means is a commons. We are trying to develop a common knowledge. But when it is replaced with by particular connotations, entitled, everyone is entitled to that. That means there is a possibility of its abusing and misusing of that creative content. So what we have learned today that a creative commons is a kind of philosophy by which we can share and we can also encourage others to share their creative content to the society for the benefit of the society. If you're a creator, always think that three options before you. You can go for a copyright, you can go for a creative commons, where you can keep some rights with you can keep some rights for the society and public domain material. That is absolutely philanthropic approach. So as a creator, let us try to focus so that our activities can also benefit our society and the humanity. When we speak about this legal side, I discussed a legal side a little bit, but legal side, when we are talking about a legal side of a Creative Commons, there are different types of licenses available. We'll be discussing the five types and six types of licenses, rather six types of licenses. And another one is a CC0. That is not a license, that is not a permission. That is absolutely altogether different to these philosophies. So legal sides gives you an opportunity as per your choice and as per your preference. You can go for. That means when we are giving you that kind of freedom, that means you can choose as per your choice. Suppose you have created some content that you want to work for the community, that you do not want to sell, so that nobody can have any commercial benefit, can reap any benefit out of this commercial interest of your creative content. You can choose for is a non-commercial kind of licensing. If you want, somebody should not make any derivative work out of your creative content, so that they use as per your given output, given content, that is absolutely verbatim. Nobody, you are not giving permission to anybody to change your or edit, modify, or reducing or any kind of transformative ability, transformating capability to others people. That means you should go for a derivative, non-derivative license. So you are sharing your material to the community, the world community, as a non-derivative format. If you want to share your material for non-commercial and a non-derivative, you can share it. You can also give permissions to make it almost all open. That means anybody can copy, anybody can distribute, anybody can go for it. It's a transformative application. When we speak about the transformative applications, what exactly mean by this transformative application? Suppose we have written a short story. That short story can also be converted into a cartoon, Possibly many of us are already our Satyajit Roy's book converted into a cartoon. And that cartoon is very much an equally popular Satyajit Ray story. So from that point of view, you can go for a many transformative. Suppose you have written a very good novel, and that novel can also be used for a cinematographic work or can be a theatrical performance. So based on that, a transformative work can also be done. But always remember that transformative work is only permissible when it is a transformative, when you are not or the other persons is not defying or violating the moral rights. Moral rights, it never ceases to happen with the creators. So that are the legal sides, many legal aspects of this, the rights that you are keeping with you and that are sharing with the society. At the same time, when you speak about the legal side, there is another side, that's the social side. Social side means social agreement. Creative Commons, when we are sharing with the society, that means we are doing for the society. Why are we doing this? Why are we sharing the society? Because we all are a social product. Whatever the material we have received, maybe through some means, maybe some money, many other means, whatever the means could be there, we access this material from the society. If we do not do, after accessing those material, if we go for its protections, and if we cased it, certainly the other persons of the society who have not those or could not access all those materials, they cannot benefit it out of my work. So I want to share my work so that other persons can also be motivated, can also be developed and educated. They can also go for the inventions and the discovery.